Considering the socio-economic and overall situation of Northeast, you might have visited several Northeast colleges. Are there any scope to give a special recommendation for the Northeastern state? This is my one question. Second question, always there is a demand to increase the state's share of taxes. Whether this will be considered in this state? Thank you, sir.
Yes. So generally, most of the states we have visited, practically almost all except maybe one or two, have, this is on your second question, they have asked to raise the share of the states from 41 to 50%. Have we checked what the memorandum said? 50% also. So Tripura's recommendation also is to raise the state share, vertical share from 41 to 50%. That has been uniformly the sentiment of the states that we have visited so far. There may be one which said 45%, but largely almost all of them, meaning remaining 16, have said 50%. Northeast, both generally the commissions have been aware of the special issues relating to the Northeast. In particular, the fact that the cost of provision of any service is much higher in the Northeast because of the hilly nature. It's not only Northeast, also you got, Himachal Pradesh, for example, Uttarakhand, which are hilly, which have similar kind of characteristics. And the commissions always do pay some attention to them. And one of the things the commissions have done, in a way, two criteria which have in the past worked favorably for the northeastern hilly states is one is the forest. Generally, northeastern states are dense in forest, and forest has been given a weight. So that generally is one criterion which helps the northeastern states. And sometimes also on area, what some of the commissions have done is to give a minimum area. Because the area-wise, for example, even Tripura is very, very small, about maybe 0.5% or 0.7% of the area. So what some commissions have done in the past is to give directly 2%, assign 2% area to any state whose share is less than 2%. So that again also seems to add. So if you look at actually the per capita devolution, generally you will see that per capita devolution to the northeastern states is quite high compared with the states in the plains.
Sir, I'm joining Tripura, user editor of Tripura. Sir, my question is related to the operations and maintenance of several places scheme in the rural and the area. In Tripura, we often find that these services are covered because of the lack of proper maintenance and all those things. So, is there any possibility that the transport should put some emphasis on this?
So, as you know, CSS are the schemes of the central government. And in any case, the central government also takes the special circumstances of the northeastern states into account, and therefore the sharing pattern of the northeastern states is 90-10. The center bears the 90% of the cost of the CSS, and the states bear 10% of the cost. In comparison, for the other states in the country, the sharing pattern is 60-40. States give 40%, not 10%, and the center gives the 60%. So that is a part of the thinking generally of the central government also. Already.
Sir, much of the work from office. I see that their committed expenditure has reduced in Tripura. So, is there any way that for that it will get the state to get any type of incentive on that?
So that is an issue for the Finance Commission to consider, and we are certainly aware. We are certainly sensitive to that. But anything for me to say right now as to whether this will eventually in the recommendations somehow show up or not would be premature. We are still early in that, so I can't say what the Commission will ultimately do. It will all depend on we complete all our consultations first, listen to every single state, and then apply our minds to the various factors that should be or that can be considered. But it's certainly something that so past commissions have also looked at, because how much the states are helping themselves. Even starting from the first Finance Commission, it made that comment, if you go back and read the report, that how much the states are helping themselves ought to be an issue as well.
Sir, myself, Tushar Ansari from ANI. Sir, my one question is...
Sorry, where are you?
Sir, myself. The question is, what the Commission has found in comparison, development in comparison to the last report of the Commission?
In terms of development?
In terms of changes, mainly, notable changes.
Yeah.
And one more question is that, sir, how close is your expectation with the share of the state of Tripura? Thank you.
So, no, I can't say anything about the share of Tripura because I can't say anything about the share of any other state either, because that's a decision which will is a difficult one. As you can imagine, all states are competing, and you must have, if you're reading up the newspapers, many of the states, whichever states are saying that, there's a lot of diversion of what we actually generate as revenue is being done to the poorer states. And also, these are all contentious issues. So to that, I can't say very much, what the share of Tripura would be. As regards the development of Tripura, that's generally not the center of discussion for the commissions, because we are more interested in the financial side, how the finances have been shaping up, about which I spoke already. I can give you my own observation on Tripura, so it's not a comparison of what 15 said or what 16, but as an economist, generally Tripura is a well-managed state. One of the very interesting features of Tripura is that, this state now is much less dependent on agriculture, at least in terms of the workforce. Nationally, about 45-46% of the workforce in India is in agriculture. Tripura is close to about 30-31%. So that, when we think of economic transformation, one of the things we think is, how much the urbanization is happening and how much the transition out of agriculture into industry and services is happening. Because generally, the labor productivity output per worker in agriculture tends to be lower than in industry and services. So there is an effort, therefore, there is an underlying objective that the workforce be moved out of agriculture into industry and services. On that transition, certainly Tripura is farther along than India is, but it also, because of the other disadvantages, its per capita income is still a little bit lower than the average of India. But it seems to be catching up. So in general, I read the situation in Tripura very positively and optimistically. And particularly when also we compare with the other northeastern states, Tripura is certainly coming along quite well.
Will your last question? Yes, this is Pilot Bhogi from Sir, what about the possibilities to get both fund under the disaster mitigation as the state Tripura comes under zone 5?
So we had discussion on it, and particularly issues of flood were highlighted by the government of Tripura. At the same time, of course, Tripura also said that they have developed a very good system of dealing with floods, and there is a kind of disaster management center where they can monitor the situation in real time and all. So in any case, it did make its pitch on that front. That part of it has to do with certain kinds of certain forms of disasters which were included in by the 15th Finance Commission in its devolution. It used an index called disaster relief index, DRI. And there are different states have said that, that index doesn't fully capture their specific situation. And that's something that Tripura government also said. So we are certainly looking, we are open to including other forms of disaster which afflict the states but are not a part of the DRI currently. But for us, the challenge also is that we have to have the data on which there will be general agreement, and they are available for all the states. Because, in the horizontal devolution, we have to first have the reliable data, and we have to have those data for all the states for inclusion. So we are open. We have also asked the state to give us some further feedback on that issue.
Yeah, please. This last question. I am Ramesh. Special first from. My question is that there had late and counter claim about the best structure of the state. During the finance commission, there are type of central cities. Now they are expecting whether they will get a central cities going. Can they expect that this 60 finance commission will allocate or implement sufficient funds so that they can get salary and part of this?
So in its presentation, the government of Tripura does mention the fact of the Finance Commission having been appointed, and in its calculations of expenditures, it has included online for states give the commission also their estimates of revenues and expenditures, and then whatever is the shortage of revenues that is left over, which is not covered by the estimated expenditures for the years of the award. So likewise, the Tripura government has given us in its memorandum its estimates of revenues and expenditures for the years 2026-27 to 2030-31, which is the award period of the 16th Finance Commission. And in estimating the expenditures for that, it has included a line also on the impact that this 8th Pay Commission may have on its expenditures. So it isn't there. What will be the decision of the 16th Finance Commission remains to be seen. As I have said before, that's something that I can't tell you anything about.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman and members of the Commission. You have taken up thanks with media. I would also like to thank all the media persons who have gathered here in Hyderabad.
Thank you.
আপনি দেখছেন নিউজ